Okay, this is Block 6, the Great Depression, Section 4, the 100 Days, the section beginning the Glass-Steagall Banking Reform Act. The Glass-Steagall Act of 1933, changes the banking industry in the United States. It does two things, Glass-Steagall. The first major thing that the Glass-Steagall Act does was that it separated the two types of banks. There are two types of banks. There are investment banks and commercial banks. Commercial banks are the banks that you're used to. You walk into a Commerce or a Chase or a TD, that's a commercial bank. Glass-Steagall separated those types of bank, your local bank. It separated commercial banks from investment banks. An investment bank is a larger bank, a more powerful bank, a bank that takes money and invests it in different companies. It's not, they don't have a branch, in your local neighborhood. So the first thing that Glass-Steagall did, it said, look, having everyone's neighborhood bank investing in the stock market was a really bad idea, because when the stock market crashed, the banks crashed and everybody lost everything. So it separated the two. Commercial banks and investment banks could not be one and the same. Now, that rule changed in the 1980s. Now, commercial TD Bank and Commerce Bank and the bank on the corner can once again serve as investment banks. There are people who want to go back to the restrictions of Glass-Steagall. Glass-Steagall, the first thing it does is it separates investment banking from commercial banking, regulating the financial industry. The second thing it does is something that if you are an observant person, if you've ever been to the bank, have seen. This is an FDIC sign in any local bank in any town in America. Glass-Steagall founded the FDIC, which is the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. And the FDIC serves to protect people from their banks going under. Before the FDIC, as we saw at the beginning of this block, if you had your life savings in a bank and that bank went bankrupt, out of business, guess what happened to your life savings? It's gone. Through no fault of your own, except putting your money in a poorly run bank. FDIC guarantees your deposit. It is insurance for your deposit, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, which says that if I have a savings account with $10,000 in it in the bank, and the bank goes bankrupt, the government will give me my $10,000 back. It increases confidence in the banking system in the 1930s, when that confidence was at an all-time low. Today the maximum is $250,000. If you have $250,000 in the bank and the bank goes under, the government will refund you that $250,000. This is paid for by a small fee that the banks pay to the government, because it protects the banks as well by giving you, the consumer, confidence to put your money in the bank, that that money cannot just disappear. FDIC and other banking reforms solidified the American banking industry. From thousands of bank failures in the early 1930s, bank failures today in the United States are incredibly uncommon. And some of these recovery reforms passed by the Roosevelt administration in the 1930s are a reason for that. So Glass-Steagall does two things. Separates commercial banking from investment banking so that your local money cannot be invested by a bank, your local bank. It separates those two things, and it also guarantees your deposits up to a certain amount against bank failure. And the two of them were very successful in strengthening, solidifying, and putting on a firmer footing what had previously been the very, very risky industry of American banking.